This is the Main Street Preps High School Football Wrap-Up Show, brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans, don't let fans drive drunk.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Main Street Preps High School Football Wrap-Up Show presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. I'm Chris Yao, and this is the final episode of the Main Street Preps High School Football Wrap-Up Show. We have crowned 9 state champions across the state of Tennessee at the Blue Cross Bowl Championships in Chattanooga last week. Hope you guys took advantage of all of the episodes that we had before, during, and after those games last week with the Main Street Sports Today crew. We'll hear from both of those guys, Maurice and Wade, a little bit later, but want to tell you about what happened and what you're going to see in this episode. Folks from around the Main Street Preps high school football ranks are going to tell you a little bit about their entire seasons. We'll take a look back, go over some records, talk a little bit about what happened for each of those teams and what you can expect in 2025 potentially. So stick around throughout the entire show. It's going to be a lot of fun. Right now, we'll start with Rutherford County. Monty Hale was unable to be with us this week, so I will go ahead and take care of that for you. And since Oakland played the last game of the season, we'll start with them here on the Main Street Preps High School Football Wrap-Up Show. The Patriots defeated Houston, avenging last year's state championship game loss. This time it was a 42-20 win for Kevin Creasy and his crew. They outscored Houston 28-6 in the second half. The game was tied at 14 at halftime. Coach Creasy and his great staff over there made the adjustments and got the big win. Most outstanding player in the game was Craig Tutt. He rushed 16 times for 84 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also had 3 tackles, including 1 for a loss and a couple of pass breakups as well. Also on the ground, Dwayne Morris had 16 carries for 147 yards and 3 touchdowns. 3 trips to pay dirt for Dwayne. So congratulations to the Patriots, Coach Kevin Creasy, on another state championship for the Oakland Patriots. Across Rutherford County, as we take a look back at the 2024 season, one of those region opponents for Oakland, Blackman, finished the season at 500, 6-6, but they did advance to the second round of the playoffs before losing to region foe Riverdale. Now, Riverdale finished 10-3 on the season and nearly knocked off Oakland in the quarterfinals before falling 49-46 in that quarterfinal loss. But they did, again, finish the season 10-3. Tough region over there with those 3 schools. As we go down to Class A, Eagleville finished the year 8-4. They fell out of the playoffs in the second round to eventual state runner-up McKenzie, who fell to Mace over the weekend at the Blue Cross Bowl Championships in Chattanooga. Laverne, unfortunately, went 0-10 in 2024. They'll be looking to bounce back in 25. Middle Tennessee Christian, coming off of a state championship run last year, did not have the same success this year. They finished the season 6-6 as well, and with a second-round loss to eventual state champion Nashville Christian. For Rockville and Siegel, both schools finished 2-8, but Siegel did get the win head-to-head in the Week 11 matchup between the 2 schools, giving the Stars a little momentum heading into 2025. Finally, Smyrna was 5-6 with a first-round loss at Brentwood, and Stewart's Creek had a heck of a year. They finished 11-2 on the season with a quarterfinal loss to Ravenwood. All right, we'll take you down to Southern Middle Tennessee now, where Maurice Patton and Wade Neely are standing by. We'll start with Mo, who has your recap from the Murray County season.
Hey, I'm Maurice Patton, sports editor, Main Street Murray. With the Blue Cross Bowl finishing up Saturday in Chattanooga, the high school football season has officially come to a close. And with Thursday's 49-21 Nashville Christian win over Columbia Academy in the Division IIA championship game, the high school football season locally has officially come to a close. CA in that ball game for about a half, scoring right before halftime on the second of 3 Harrison Brownlee touchdowns to make it a 14-14 game, but couldn't quite keep that pace in the second half as Nashville Christian pulled away again. The Bulldogs making their first Blue Cross Bowl appearance, finishing up the year 10-4 with that loss there. But one of three area teams to make the playoffs this year. Also, Columbia Central finishing up 6-5 with their first round loss at Page. Page advancing to the state finals in Class 5A before falling Friday night to Sevier County, and Independence finishing up 3-8 with their opening round loss over at Stewart's Creek. So three area teams making the postseason. Wrapping things up for the rest of our teams, as I'm sure you're well aware, Summit finished up 3-7 in Region 6-6A, Spring Hill with a 2-8 finish in Region 5-5A, and Mount Pleasant going 6-4 but missing the postseason due to some tiebreakers in Region 5-2A. Before we step away here to end the season, I want to recognize a couple of 2,000-yard performers this year, as Columbia Academy senior running back Monte Baldwin finished up the year with 2,134 rushing yards and 23 touchdowns. He will leave as CA's all-time leading rusher, upwards of 6,000 career yards for him. And CA first-year senior quarterback Stephen Neves throws for 2,060 yards and 25 touchdowns in his single season with the Bulldogs. Other developments here since the end of the regular season: Independence has made a coaching change, as Scott Stidham was dismissed after 3 seasons, replaced by former Independence coach Scott Blade, who led the Eagles to a state championship in 2015 and a runner-up finish in 2016 over 9 seasons there. So Blade back in charge at the Thompson Station School. Other things that you can look for next season include another local program, as Battle Creek will be playing varsity football in 2025. They and Spring Hill will both be in Region 5-4A, along with Marshall County, Creekwood, and Montgomery Central. So you can look out for their schedules if you've not already seen them. I'm sure they'll be coming out here pretty soon. But the two neighboring foes will be region rivals as well. Other region breakdowns coming out of last month's TSSAA Board of Control meeting: in 5-2A, Mount Pleasant, Lewis County, Loretto, and Summertown will now have to go across the river a little bit, traveling over to West Tennessee for region games against Adamsville, Scotts Hill, and Decatur County Riverside. A little different travel plans for Columbia Central in Region 4-5A as well, as they have played into the western half of the postseason bracket as a member of 5-5A. A lot of the same teams, but they'll be going in a different direction. Columbia Central, Franklin County, Lawrence County, Lincoln County, and Tullahoma will be the 5-team Region 4-5A, which means that they will play east into the Chattanooga and Southeast Tennessee area once postseason play begins. So get your maps out. In Region 6-6A, Independence, Summit, Brentwood, Franklin, and Ravenwood still make up the core of that group, but they are now joined by Coffee County and Shelbyville coming up from, Coffee County coming over from what had been a heavy Rutherford County region, Shelbyville coming up from 5A. So that'll be a 7-team region this coming year, actually the next 2 years, instead of 6. And in Division 2 AA, Columbia Academy again, which just went to the state finals in Division 2 1A, will now be in 2A along with Battleground Academy, state finalist, Davidson Academy, Franklin Road Academy. Grace Christian also goes up along with Columbia Academy, and they will be joined by Good Pasture and Pope John Paul II. So a lot to look forward to in 2025. But one last thing to look forward to this year: even though the high school football season is officially over with, we've got the Tennessee Athletic Coaches Association's East-West All-Star Classic that'll take place Saturday at 1 o'clock up at Clarksville's Forterra Stadium on the campus of Austin Peay State University. Columbia Central's Jaravius Hall, an Indiana signee, and Summit's Mekhi Bell will both be playing in that game. So go up and check those guys out as they play one last time at the high school level. That's going to do it from Maury County. I'm Maurice Patton. There we go. Sports editor for Main Street Maury. Y'all have a great holiday season. Thanks.
Thanks, Mo. Greatly appreciate it. We'll head now to Wade Neely. Wade has a report from both Giles and Lawrence County's teams from the 2024 year.
What's up, folks? Wade Neely here, sports editor at the Pulaski Citizen, contributor over at the Lawrence County Advocate. Football season is in the books for all of our area teams, and it's time to recap what a season it was. We had a lot of highs, we had a few lows, but man, we had some really great action from start to finish, and we were fortunate enough that all but one of our teams in our Giles and Lawrence County coverage area made it to the postseason and advanced to the playoffs. We begin in Giles County, where the story this year has got to be the Richland Raiders. Richland goes 9-4, and they advance to the Class A quarterfinals, ultimately falling to a very talented McKenzie Rebel squad over in West Tennessee. Head coach Nick Patterson and the Raiders, they took this program to previously unseen heights, or at least heights that hadn't been around since the 80s, the late 80s, as Richland again goes 9-4, had some signature wins, had a couple of close losses in the regular season. Otherwise, we might have been talking about a Richland team that went undefeated in the regular season. But again, they finished 9-4 and wrap up in quarterfinal action. The other big storyline has got to be the Summertown Eagles. Coach Dan Winfrey, in just his second year, had the Eagles flying high. They finished the year 8-3. Unfortunately, they bow out, though, at home in the first round of the TSSAA Class 2A state playoffs, falling to Jackson Central Mary. But that should not and that cannot take away from what a great season it was for Coach Winfrey and the Eagles. Again, finishing with an 8-3 record. This is a team that won one game last year. They played very, very well all season long from start to finish and deserve to be shouted out. Keeping it in Lawrence County very quickly, Loretto finishes 6-5. Crazy year for the Mustangs. They went undefeated last regular season and then had an early exit in the postseason. This year it was kind of up and down. They were just riding the wave all season long. This was a Loretto team that could lose on any given night or they could beat anybody on any given night. They were very fun to watch, and they finished falling in the first round over at Huntington at 6-5 on the year. Our lone team that didn't make the postseason was Lawrence County, but it was an interesting year. Lawrence County, kind of like Loretto, but just slightly in reverse. They were going up and down, and there were a few more downs. They do finish 4-6. It was a loaded region schedule yet again, but the Wildcats do miss the playoffs. However, there is a reason. It's uncertainty to say the least, but there is a reason to be cautiously optimistic because a new coaching regime is set to begin over in Lawrence County after David Marston announces that he is stepping away after 30-plus years with that program over there as an assistant and head coach. So times are changing for Lawrence County, but they finished the year with a 4-6 mark. Speaking of 6 losses, Giles County finishes the year 6-6. Kind of a odd year for Giles County, a rare down year under head coach David O'Connor. After he returns in 2016, Giles County has made the playoffs every year but one. And Giles County is used to making deep runs in the playoffs, advancing to the semifinals the last 3 seasons. That didn't come to fruition this year, however. They had some talent and they had some senior leadership, but they had a lot of underclassmen playing key roles. Several freshmen and sophomores started throughout the entire course of the season. And as a result, Giles County never really, they were playing some of their best ball, as you might expect under O'Connor, by the end of the year, but it wasn't enough as they fall in round 2 over at Meigs County. But they figure to be back. They figure to be ready to rock and roll again in 25. So what a season it was. Giles County, Richland, Summertown, Loretto, and Lawrence County. It's been a real treat bringing you guys updates all year long on our area programs. If you missed anything and you want to go back and check it out, make sure you check out the Lawrence County Advocate and make sure you check out the Pulaski Citizen. We've got you covered. All things football for 2024. For the final time this football season, Wade Neely saying so long.
Time now for our first break of the show. When we come back, more recaps and wrap-ups from across Middle Tennessee on the Main Street Preps High School Football Wrap-Up Show presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
He shoots, and he scores!
Well, we went all out for you this year, didn't we, little girl? Yep, we got you what you wanted with all the bells and whistles.
A brand new car?
Let's go check it out. Come on. We're here.
Oh my gosh, we're going to the garage. I got a car.
Yep, let's get in here. Let me show you what's going on.
Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Duggar, got your 18 SEER heat pump with your ultraviolet home treatment system.
I cannot believe it. Thank you.
Yes! Give the gift of clean air this year. Merry Christmas from the Busy Bee family.
We are back here on the Main Street Preps High School Football Wrap-Up Show. I'm Chris Yao. Thanks to the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, of course, for bringing you each and every week of the season with a wrap-up show and our preview show that aired on Thursdays. We appreciate you guys tuning in all season long. Now, we'll go up to Wilson County, where Tommy Bryan will take you through his teams from the surrounding areas of Lebanon and beyond.
Hello, everybody. This is Tommy Bryan, sports editor of both Main Street publications in Wilson County, the Chronicle of Mount Juliet, and the Wilson Post. And I've got a look at how the Wilson County football teams fared during the 2024 season. Following an undefeated regular campaign, Green Hill lost a first-round home playoff game to Blackman by a score of 45-14. The Hawks have certainly beefed up their 2025 schedule, opening with Beach and Page. Both those games will be played at Green Hill. Lebanon closed out the 2024 season with a record of 4-7, losing to eventual Class 6A state champion Oakland 41-0 in the first round of the playoffs. The 2024 season found Trey Perry becoming Mount Juliet High's all-time winningest coach as his Golden Bears completed a 10-2 season. Mount Juliet defeated Coffee County in the first round of the playoffs, then gave Oakland a scare, dropping a tight 35-28 loss to the Patriots in the second round. Mount Juliet Christian Academy lost its final two regular season games of the season by a score of 82-7, and they finished 4-6. A young Watertown squad closed out the season with a record of 3-8, losing 47-35 at Chattanooga Central in the first round of the Class 3A playoffs. The Purple Tigers, a young bunch, will rebuild around the throwing talents of quarterback Blake Waldorf, who threw for 2,700 yards and 26 touchdowns this past season. Waldorf will be a junior next season. Wilson Central wrapped up the 2024 season with a record of 3-7 and a 51-0 road loss at Cookeville in the season finale. There's still football to be played in Wilson County as the fourth annual OTA Wilson County All-Star Classic is on tap for Saturday, December 21. Senior All-Star teams from Williamson, Montgomery, Sumner, and Wilson County will battle it out at Noakes-Lassiter Field, home of Cumberland University football. Seniors from Williamson and Sumner County will take the field at 12:30, followed by the battle between Wilson County and Montgomery County at 3:30. Admission is $15 at the gate and is good for both games. That's my wrap-up on the 2024 football season here in Wilson County. For Main Street Preps, I'm Tommy Bryan, and I will talk to you later.
Thank you, Tommy. Also covering high school sports in Robertson County is David Wilson. David, tell us what happened in 2024 with your schools.
Everybody, this is David Wilson, sports reporter for the Robertson County Connection. And I'm here to put a bow on the 2024 high school football season and this final edition of our wrap-up of the year. We're going to go through each team in Robertson County one by one, kind of highlight their year, how they finished, and some players of note. We'll start things off in alphabetical order with East Robertson, the East Robertson Indians, who made it to the Blue Cross Bowl in 2A in 2023, finished the 2024 season 10-2 on the year, and they bowed out in the second round of the TLSLA playoffs to eventual Class 2A state champion Marion County on the road in Jasper, Tennessee. It was kind of a hard season for East Robertson as they lost defending Mr. Football winner and Georgia Tech commit Isaiah Groves the first week of the year to a torn ACL in a home win against Liberty Creek. Groves suffered a torn ACL on the first drive of the year. And East Robertson still found a way this year to win 10 ball games. They moved pieces around in their backfield, eventually putting Cade Brooks, moving him from wide receiver to running back into that position. But East Robertson got there because of the play of Mr. Football finalist, Kason Young, who is a finalist for the Mr. Football Awards tomorrow at Nissan Stadium. He had 2,657 total yards of offense at the quarterback position. He's a sophomore, had 29 touchdowns in 12 games and threw just 3 interceptions. And I mentioned Cade Brooks as well. He's a big part of the Indians' offense. Just shy of 1,500 all-purpose yards and 14 touchdowns for his father, Chase Brooks, the head coach, and under offensive coordinator Hayden Alexander. Obviously, Zach Groves is a name of power forward interest. That had another great year in his junior season, 65 tackles on defense, 4 sacks, 21 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, and interception. Also played a big part of their offense as well. 501 all-purpose yards, 8 touchdowns, particularly 19 receptions for 395 yards and 6 touchdowns from the tight end position. It was a good year for East Robertson considering all the adversity that they had faced with numerous players getting injured. And as I mentioned, Isaiah Groves being the headliner, tearing his ACL the first week of the year. The second team of note that we'd like to note is Greenbrier. They went 0-10 this year under head coach John Elmore, played in a really tough Region 5-4A that included Pearl Cone, who made it to the Class 4A semifinals against Marshall County as well, who was another really good team in the area. Greenbrier, first time they had gone winless in a season since last century. So tough season for Greenbrier as they go 0-10. Still waiting for their stats fully in nominations for the all-county team. So I apologize for lack of stats for them. But a tough year for John Elmore and the Bobcats as they go 0-10. Innovation Academy was another team of note that drew a lot of interest this year in Robertson County. It was their first year playing in the TWSLA. They had to play as an independent this year because of their status of not joining in a reclassification year. They played a mixed schedule where they played against Bradley Central, South Pittsburgh, teams from out of state, and Alabama welcomed teams in from Cincinnati. They also played Nashville Christian, who won the Division II Class A state championship here in Tennessee. They go 0-10 for the second consecutive year. This is their second year playing football. They're now 0-20. They play their games at Boyd Smith Field. But next year they will join Region 4-1A and join the TWSLA in the same region as Joe Burns, who we're talking about right now. Joe Burns made an improvement in their second year under head coach Justin Robinson. They improved their win total by 2 games and go 3-8 on the year. They fell out in the first round of the Class 1A playoffs to Whitwell on the road. But it was a spectacular year, in particular for senior Amari Cotton, who did it all, a Swiss Army knife for the Red Devils. He had 2,144 all-purpose yards, 29 touchdowns. He also had 60 tackles on defense, 2 interceptions. He returned 2 kicks for a touchdown, and he was the Region 4-1A co-offensive player of the year. He's an absolutely phenomenal athlete, a big part of why the Red Devils improved their win total by 2 games this year. They asked him to do it all. He even stepped into the quarterback position when quarterback Luke Miller suffered a concussion. Moving on, Springfield was the team that got hot at the end of the year, one of the hottest teams in the Mid-State. They finished the year 8-6. Now, they ended the regular season 5-5, and they got some help to get into the Class 5A playoffs. They were the last team in their region to make it, benefiting from a Henry County victory, and they stormed through the playoffs, winning 2 games on the road against region champions Mufford and Beach. Sandwiched in between that was a win against Henry County on the road in the playoffs, and they move all the way to the Class 5A semifinals, where they eventually lost to Page 31-7. But it was a great year for Springfield considering the adversity that they had. Outside of their loss to Page, every one of their single losses came by single digits. So hat tip to Dustin Wilson and that entire coaching staff for the job they did. Jaden Hurst, obviously offensive of note, 1,259 rushing yards, 12 touchdowns, split the backfield carries with Kenan Chapman Jr., who had over 100 tackles on defense as well. And then Jabraylon Ellis, the senior wide receiver, 52 catches for 680 yards. So a nice season for Springfield, who's going to dip down into Class 4A next year and be a contender to lift the state ball along with Pearl Cone and Alcoa. Then finally, the last team of note here in Robertson County is the White House Heritage Patriots, who won their first region championship since 2014, over a decade since the last time the Patriots won a region title. And this one came under Scott Murray, who led the Patriots to the quarterfinals in the Class 3A playoffs. They bowed out to East Nashville, but not before the Patriots made their first quarterfinal since 2015. They won 9 football games, and this was the first time since in Scott Murray's career that he had reached the quarterfinal round. Obviously, Xavier Murray was the headliner here in Robertson County. 3,016 passing yards for the sophomore quarterback, 43 touchdowns this year. He did tear his ACL, MCL, and part of his meniscus in the game against East Nashville. We were waiting to see the full recovery of his timetable and if that will leak into next season. He was helped by 2 senior standouts, in particular on the offensive and defensive side. Dason Springer was an all-around athlete for White House Heritage. He had 59 receptions on offense for 976 yards, 15 touchdowns. He also had 137 tackles on defense, 6 interceptions, and he took a few of those to the house as well, all over the field for White House Heritage this season. And then finally, wide receiver Eric Lopez, who was a first-team all-county wide receiver his junior season last year in 2023. He added on to his record-breaking career at White House Heritage, where he will leave as the all-time receiving touchdowns leader. He had 65 catches for 820 yards and 16 touchdowns on the year for the high-powered White House Heritage offense. So that'll do it on the quick synopsis of the area here in Robertson County this year. Thank you guys for tuning in and looking forward to talking to you guys in the weeks and months ahead.
Greatly appreciate that, David. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will have reports from the western side of the Main Street Preps high school football area. So stick around on Main Street Sports High School Football Wrap-Up Show, presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. We'll be right back.
Well, we went all out for you this year, didn't we, little girl? Yep, we got you what you wanted, with all the bells and whistles.
A brand new car?
Let's go check it out. Come on. We're here.
Oh my gosh, we're going to the garage. I got a car.
Yep, let's get in here. Let me show you what's going on.
Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Duggar, got your 18 SEER heat pump with the ultraviolet home treatment system.
I cannot believe it. Thank you.
Yes! Give the gift of clean air this year. Merry Christmas from the Busy Bee family.
He shoots, and he scores!
Back now for our final segment of the show. Thank you guys for tuning in once again. We greatly appreciate it here at Main Street Media Television. Let's go now to Calvin White, who will tell us about Montgomery and Houston counties and their 2024 football years.
Hello everyone, this is Calvin White, sports editor with Main Street Clarksville, here to give you one final recap of the Montgomery County high school football season. We're going to start with the Clarksville Wildcats. For the second consecutive season, they finished 10-0 in the regular season and fell in the first round of the playoffs. They fell to Germantown in the playoffs this season. Rossview finished 8-3 after a first-round playoff loss to Collierville. Thursday night, Rossview head coach Todd Hood announced he was retiring after 32 years of coaching. So the Hawks will have a new head coach entering next season. Kirkwood, in the second season of their program, finished 8-3 and made the TSSAA playoffs, but fell in the first round to Bartlett. Head coach Chad Watson had the Cobras in the playoffs in his second year after the Cobras narrowly missed it in his first season in the final game of the regular season. West Creek, under first-year head coach Michael Booker, finished 4-6 and missed the TSSAA playoffs. Northeast, another school in the county that played under a new head coach this season. Head coach Deontay Weston and the Eagles finished 1-9 this season. Northwest, under first-year head coach Mark Hall, finished 1-9. The Vikings won their season opener against Fort Campbell and lost 9 consecutive games to end their season. Kenwood finished 3-7 under head coach Jared Sneed, and Montgomery Central in their first year under head coach Wyatt Page finished 2-8. The Indians beat Whites Creek in week 8 of the regular season behind Canyon Connor's 108-yard interception return for a touchdown for the Indians' first win in over 2 seasons. And finally, Clarksville Academy finished 2-7. They had wins over Ezel Harding and Mount Juliet Christian. As always, I'm Calvin White, sports editor with Main Street Clarksville. I'll talk to you again soon.
And that's going to do it for this edition and this season here on the Main Street Preps High School Football Wrap-Up Show. Greatly appreciate you guys again for tuning in all season long. We'll be back in 2025 with more great high school football coverage from across Middle Tennessee. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in. For all of us here at Main Street Media Television, we hope that you have a happy holiday and hope you had a wonderful 2024 season and good luck in 2025.
This is the Main Street Preps High School Football Wrap-Up Show, brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans, don't let fans drive drunk.